fought for our right to read and write in Slovene. At this time, in this area, this was not common because we were under Austrian jurisdiction, and they basically didn't allow any Slovene languages in official places. So he fought for right that each one can read the Bible in its own language. Also, he wrote poems and was an artist. And therefore, we built this church is dedicated to. This used to be a hospital. And we have a church, and this where you're standing right now was conveniently the cemetery. The hospital cemetery at the Middle Ages, especially towards the 19th century, this was quite convenient since you know what mainly happened in hospitals at this point. People died, obviously. Then they moved the cemetery to the place where now the football stadium is. Was also not a pretty good idea, so they moved it across the river. And now it's across the river and...
Que no sales. Está saliendo la estatua.
This statue over there is supposed to be a lion. The reason why it really doesn't look like it is because it was fished out of the river Drava, and it dates back by carbon dating to the Roman times. Maribor in Roman times wasn't really important city, meaning no strategic value, no political value. It was more or less summer residence for rich people. Also, a remnant from the old times is this pillar here, and that's basically a gas lamp. Those lamps used to be several of them, but when the French were bombing Slovenia in the Second World War, because we were on the wrong side. Yeah, we had no choice, we were under Germany. Square. So the main activities in the past were taking place here. Now it moved a bit towards the center, but still it has quite a lot of history. This monument here is called the Plague Column, the Plague Monument. And it was dedicated to the people who died in the 7th century because of the plague, because the plague almost eradicated half of Europe. Maribor was not an exception, and that's why, for that reason, they built the monument with the 6 saints, which would be the guardians, protectors against the plague. And above, we have Saint Mary, so the mother of Jesus, and so on and so forth. And the next building is behind you, and I would like you to take a good look at it and tell me what's wrong with this picture. With this.
That window is open.
Sorry? Why this happened. And one of them is that the builder didn't got enough money. So he said, okay, you don't give me enough money, I will offset the tower. My personal belief is Maribor is quite a wine region, and we have always some percent of alcohol in the air. He was simply drunk. That's my explanation. And there was quite a famous guy having a speech on this tower, this balcony, in 1938. You might know him. It was Adolf Hitler, and he said, in 3 years' time, I want to make this place German. Tough luck. Didn't happen. Because apparently Adolf Hitler was abroad only in 3 cities, meaning abroad before he occupied, and this was Prague, Paris and Maribor. Not really know if I should brag about it, but it's a fact. Another place which is quite famous, used to be famous, is the casino.
Que digo que lo tenías que saber.
It went bankrupt.
Lo sabes.
How many casinos you know went bankrupt?
Todo es como...
Maribor is quite famous for those kind of things. And by a coincidence, the chief of the casino at that time was a blonde woman. Maybe coincidence, I don't know. Second thing that went bankrupt in Maribor, church. I'm not...
Ya ves, seguramente.
Cáeme ese africano. Aquí.
No. Any chance? No? You don't remember? Fair enough. By the way, those things behind you are umbrellas. Obviously there's something terribly wrong with them. They're upside down. The idea was quite smart, but technically a bad solution. The idea was, in this shape, those umbrellas would collect rainwater. But they forgot one thing, and this was dirt. With the wind, dirt comes in and it melts, and what happened? When the water was collecting, it like sprang over.
Oh shit.
So basically the marketplace was always underwater. So when those old ladies, you know, were selling like vegetables and stuff, always had to step on something. And all of a sudden they were like 2 meters tall. Also one of the reasons why this thing went back, because we were not really a goal for them, but we were on the way to Vienna. So yeah, we're going there, let's stop by, pillage a bit and go ahead. So basically no remains of Turkish culture remained here, besides from baklava and stuff, which I'm quite happy about. And this tower here, it's called the Judgment Tower. In this tower, witches were convicted in the 16th century. Apparently altogether there were 13 of them, although this number seems kind of 13 and so on, kind of imaginative, but okay, let's believe it was 13. And they were burned behind the church, behind the building with the offset tower. So also this happened. So now we're going simple because this place looks kind of like Venice, doesn't it? Almost. By this reaction I can judge either you've never been to Venice or you're not listening. But okay. No, the truth is that this place here was meant for traffic, meaning to transport woods to the southern parts, to Croatia and so on and so forth. This was before we built all the hydraulic power plants on the river. Because all the woods which were cut down in Pohorje, and this region all used to be a forest before it was like inhabited, and this was the main port. This place and one place like way down this way. So they lifted all the wood here, the timber, and then they drove it all down to it came even to Novi Sad. This is way southern way. But then, unfortunately, we built the power plants. Some were built this way that the raft could. There was a special gate for it that you could go through, but some of them weren't, so we have to abandon the project. But for traditional reasons, there's still possibility to ride on that raft, but not really transport goods, but people, and have a sort of program on when you eat and drink, and you have like music and so on and so forth. Also, one thing I'd like to show you is, you can barely see it, but this red and white flag is the flag of Maribor. And if you take a look at it, you can see a white castle. I will show you the castle later. Yes. And above it, you see a white pigeon. And below, you see the gates being opened. And the symbolism of it means that if you come in peace, you're welcome to enter. So much for the Turkish, that's why it was closed. Anyway, the defense wall starts with here, the Judgment Tower, and all the way to the water tower, which is on the other side. Mainly it were used for bow shooters. If you can see this little hole, straight ahead above the parking sign. This was used for the bow shooters. So see upstairs, the little hole up was for the bowman to see, and the hole through that he could shoot. Also, yeah, years, and it still breeds grapes. You're too late for them, they picked them up last week. So maybe next year. Also, as I told you a bit before, that Slovenia, the Maribor region, is a wine region. And 90% of our wines are white wines. That's not like a decision each farmer makes. It's simply because, depending on the soil, a certain wine soil.
Yeah. So it's a windmill rattle.
This is when we're on the right. Small, and it's called the water tower. It was built for defense reasons, and nowadays it's used as a wine archive. and also wine tasters, and there's a club of wine producers, which all of the region of Maribor bring their best wines here, and then each year they try each other's wines and see which one's better. Of course, this is also a tradition, and people mainly are here for having fun. Here you see one of the biggest remains of the defense wall, and you can also see this building there with those windows, like long windows. This is a synagogue, which were, we also had Jews in Maribor. Nowadays we don't really have any.
No parece nada una
It's
sinagoga.
not necessary that there as well, because in the 16th century, when it got popular in Europe to chase out the Jews, in Maribor they did the same thing. Nowadays it's used for purposes to show pictures or seminars.
Shit. We have shit.
In the air.
Square of Freedom.
River is here. Those lines are here several ones because now we're standing above a wine cellar. The wine cellar is in Maribor, is the biggest one in Europe, which is built below a city. And in the medieval times, there was a castle that's still there, where you see just a small chapel. The castle used to be there, now they moved it here. And now this is the castle and the entrance on the other side. Why the village here? Usually the castles are on a hill, logically. But during the Turkish invasion, this castle was destroyed so many times, so the workers said, we're not going to pick up stones there anymore. If they're destroyed, they can destroy it here, we can rebuild it easier here. So this was the main reason why. Yeah, and the demonstration takes place every year in October, November. It hasn't started yet, otherwise you would smell it. Because these vents here are meant for venting air from the cellar. Because the fermentation, I don't know how much of you know the process of making wine. No? Basically, when you have the grapes, you have to insert a special fungus. And this fungus makes it to boil, not really boil in means of bubbles, but boils in means of making more mushrooms in which alcohol is produced. And
Are you listening
can get dangerous to people
to the
because they
guy?
can suffocate. Unfortunately, Viaje is closed on Sundays. That's why it's unlike usually. But okay, it feels dirty that we can say whether we're standing above the wine cellar. Also, it is said that there was a secret.
Plaza de la Libertad. Querida mamá, estoy bien. Me lo estoy pasando muy bien. Es lo que
I'm going
pone.
to die tomorrow. Goodbye.
See you tomorrow.
No, mañana no.
They built the statue of Saint Florian, who's now the protector of Maribor, is the protector of the firemen and fireplaces, meaning since we have been, there was no big fire in Maribor again.
Castillo.
And also, you see those lamps here, and you can see next to the blue graphic kiosk, this was the first lamp in this region of Europe. How cool is that? No reaction, okay. Okay, so this is almost the last stop. The last stop will be at this square over there. So follow me, please.